Twilight got a lot of hate back in the day. Bella is boring and stupid, Edward is abusive, their relationship is toxic. The word that is so overused I can't stand it anymore. The storyline is cringe and doesn't make much sense. Basically, Twilight is the worst movie ever made, which is obviously false. Now, nobody can deny that it was a cultural reset. Having the rational part of my brain be almost fully developed and having rewatched all 5 movies, it's clear that Twilight has become a comfort movie to many who were once huge fans of the whole franchise. I think a lot of people were always aware that Twilight was not perfect. I made fun of lots of things in the movies while still being a fan. You can like things and still be critical of them. I just want to ramble about the whole franchise and also talk about why Twilight is the best movie in the series. Side note, I have never read the books, so I don't care how characters are presented there. I'm going to judge the movies only. The first movie just tells the story of an awkward girl named Bella. And when I say awkward, I mean very fucking awkward, Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Whoa!
That's what's in Jackson.
You at least watch where you walk.
But this goofball is going through some stuff, so I'll cut her some slack. She's moved to a new town to live with her dad, she has to go to a new school, she has no friends, she's 17. It's like, come on, all these things combined together? No thank you. But there is a silver lining in this wet and cold thing that is her life. Melodramatic, rich, hot kids that you can find even in a small town with a population of 3,120. This is the plot of almost every teen movie ever made, but Twilight is a bit different, isn't it? Because of Edward. As he is a handsome 104-year-old vampire with mood swings that didn't go away because he's still a teenager. Here's the thing. Bella and Edward are teenagers. They do and say stupid things, they get mad, and they don't care about certain stuff.
I've killed people before.
It does not matter.
Oh honey, I have no issues with the characters. The acting is not bad considering some cringy and silly lines the actors had to work with. Bella's personality shines through way stronger compared to the subsequent films. And yes, Bella has a personality. She's a real badass in the movie. First, she's a feminist icon.
Take control. You're a strong, independent woman.
Right?
Oh,
That is uncomfortable.
oh, that's disgusting.
Second, she's funny and is not afraid to call people out.
Your mood swings are kind of giving me whiplash.
Third, I like the way she dresses. That's important. Bella's actions and motivation are explained at the very beginning of the film when she says,
Dying in the place of someone I love seems like a good way to go.
it might seem silly to some people. What, now she's some kind of martyr? No, maybe she's just too kind and selfless. Now Edward, is he a jerk at the beginning? Yes. Is he abusive and manipulative? No. I don't understand what people expect him to say when Bella questions him about his super freaking dark secret. Edward, you stopped that car with your hand. How did you do that? Bella, I'm a vampire. People act like they've never lied or manipulated anyone. Most family dynamics involve some degree of manipulation, just saying. These two get drawn to each other, and that's how it happens sometimes. You're drawn to people that might not be good for you. However, Bella and Edward, they don't have any ulterior motives. They just like each other for whatever reasons. What else there to do in a small and boring town? Cinematography-wise, Twilight is the best movie in the whole series, hands down. It's the only movie in the franchise that was directed by a woman, very likely because it's considered to be an indie film. A lot of studios had turned down the idea of making a film adaptation of Stephenie Meyer's books, and even when Summit Entertainment got involved, they didn't want to spend a lot of money. Summit initially recruited Catherine Hardwicke. They presented her with the Twilight script, but she rejected the offer. She knew nothing about the books, so only after she read Twilight for herself, she realized that Stephenie Meyer perfectly captured the moments of first love and Twilight had potential. Catherine had to remove a lot of things, including special effects she wanted to do, and she also had to cut the budget a couple of times. The expectations were very, very low. Hardwicke spoke about it herself, quote, "Why do you think I got the job? Why do you think they hired a female director? If they thought it was going to be a big blockbuster, they wouldn't have ever even hired me." End quote. One interesting thing to point out is that Catherine really wanted to make the cast diverse and inclusive. However, Stephenie Meyer was uncomfortable with that idea. Hardwicke said, quote, "She probably just didn't see the world that way. And I was like, oh my god, I want the vampires, I want them all. Alice, I want her to be Japanese. I had all these ideas. And she just couldn't accept the Cullens to be more diverse. Because she had really seen them in her mind. She knew who each character was representing in a way, a personal friend or a relative or something." End quote. The author did allow how to cast Kenyan-American actor Eddie Gathegi in the role of Laurent, and got Christian Serratos and Justin Chon as Bella's friends. Catherine knew how to capture the essence of angsty teenagers like nobody else because she had previously directed 13 and Lords of Dogtown, the films that shook me when I was a teen. You can see her style in these movies, and that's exactly what she brought to the table with Twilight. Choosing a blue filter for a movie about cold and pale vampires was the best decision in the history of cinematography. The first movie feels very small and intimate. The actors were pretty much unknown, but you can feel so much care emanating through the screen. The passion Catherine had for this project was so palpable. I remember my classmate telling me about this vampire movie she saw on TV, and that I had to see it too as it was airing again that week. I had a very distinct memory of sitting in my living room alone with the lights off watching Twilight for the first time. Let's talk about top favorite scenes very quickly. The opening scene, because it makes you feel like you're going to watch a horror movie. The spider monkey scene for the helicopter shots and the score. Baseball scene, obviously. The prom, it was very sweet. And the ending credits. It feels very personal, and I love how you get to see all the characters again. They tried doing something similar in the last movie, Breaking Dawn, but there it looks like everyone fucking died. The soundtrack is by far objectively one of the best things that came out of Twilight movies. I want you all to get a closer look at our Lord and Savior, Alexandra Patsavas, because she was the music supervisor who chose the songs and musicians for all the movies, with some exceptions, or let's say with the help of actors. It was Kristen Stewart who suggested the song for the prom scene in Twilight. She said, quote, "Before we even started shooting the first Twilight with Catherine Hardwicke, I was rehearsing with Rob and we were sort of dancing around this room trying to do this scene. I put on Iron and Wine's Flightless Bird American Mouth and I just became instantly emotional." End quote. Another two songs on the Twilight soundtrack were Robert Pattinson's songs, because he can sing, apparently. The first one, called Never Think, it's softly playing in the background while Bella and Edward are sitting in the diner, and the second one, Let Me Sign, is playing over the scene where Edward is sucking James' venom out of Bella. Famous artists were featured on the soundtrack too, like Linkin Park and Muse, but I can't thank Twilight franchise enough for exposing their audience to so many amazing indie artists. I had no idea Paramore even existed before Twilight, and Paramore started my emo phase. That's how I discovered My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco. So what I'm trying to say is that I owe my life to Twilight. In terms of a storyline, New Moon is literally about Bella's fear of aging.
Is that a gray hair?
No. No way.
You're not gonna want me when I look like a grandmother.
What's up with you and age?
Yes, you can argue that Bella is so in love with Edward that she wants to be with him for eternity. But maybe, just maybe, Bella is not as brave as we thought, and she's scared of becoming an unattractive grandma. There are a lot of layers to Twilight movies. You can make them into whatever you like. Want it to be a comedy? No problem. Want some romance? Here it is. Don't forget about horror and thriller. Bella and Edward are still in school, but it looks like someone forgot about the fact that they're supposed to be teenagers, especially Edward. He looks so out of place in the classroom, plus he starts wearing suit jackets. Edward triggers a chain reaction with his depression. See, he gets depressed because he killed people before or something, so he breaks up with Bella. And then Bella gets depressed because breakups are tough, and you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. It's good to have hobbies outside of love. Which kind of what Bella tries to do with Jacob. New Moon presents you with another guy who has a secret, Jacob the werewolf. Jacob is a handy guy, so after Bella finds out that Edward can appear out of thin air in front of her whenever she's in danger, she asks Jacob for a favor, to repair an old bike for her so she can get breadcrumbs of Edward. My poor boy Jacob thinks Bella is interested in him, when the truth is Bella is using him. The outcome? Jacob gets his heart broken too. So New Moon is full of misery and pain. Hashtag Team Jacob, hashtag Jacob deserved better. Apparently, New Moon is the weakest Twilight movie, which is shocking to me considering how many times I rewatched the first two movies. It's embarrassing. The movie was directed by Chris Weitz, who is best known for his work on the comedy films American Pie and About the Boy. I don't know if that experience helped him much, but there are a bunch of good things you can find while watching New Moon. The tone is way warmer, leading towards orange, as this movie focuses on werewolves and Jacob's story. There are a lot of beautiful scenes, the most famous one being a depressed Bella who is sitting in her room as we see the seasons change. Another one I adore is when Jacob is chasing Victoria through the forest, followed by a scene with Bella jumping off a cliff. The song Slow Life by Grizzly Bear is so somber and mystifying it physically hurts. One more scene worth mentioning is when Bella is running through the crowd in Italy. The clash of her green shirt with people's red cloaks is gorgeous. The soundtrack for the second movie is as good as the first one. You get Tom York, The Killers, Muse, love it. When people talk about manipulation, I hope they refer to Eclipse, because the three main characters showcase the worst versions of themselves in this one. The premise of Eclipse is basically good vampires and werewolves try to protect Bella from the bad vampires, Victoria and her army, because in the first movie Edward killed Victoria's lover James. It's messy, so let's count all messy moments. Edward fucking Bella's truck up so she can't go see Jacob, Bella not caring about Edward's feelings and thinking it's okay to run away with a hot shirtless guy friend. It's kind of a double standard because Edward, for example, didn't have a hot vampire girlfriend for Bella to worry about. They're still teens and some level of jealousy is acceptable. Jacob kissing Bella without her consent. Edward mentioning his and Bella's engagement, fully knowing Jacob is listening. Jacob manipulating Bella into kissing him the second time.
Him kissing her right now, God, it proves how much of a ugh.
Jacob being pushy in general and forcing Bella to admit her feelings for him, which she doesn't actually have. Bella saying, "You know I love you" to Jacob out of pity and that way getting his hopes up. Hashtag Team I don't know you all except Alice. Eclipse was directed by David Slade, who worked on a lot of music videos before. His works also include films like Hard Candy and 30 Days of Night. I can't get past two things in Eclipse. Number one, Rachelle Lefevre, who played perfect Victoria with her foxy looks in the first two movies, was replaced by Bryce Howard. And number two, Bella's wig and Edward's sideburns. Robert and Kristen point these hair things out themselves in the DVD commentary, and they're so funny about it.
Weird sideburn. I always have some kind of follicle issue in these movies.
I don't even go there with follicle issues.
See, the wig looks pretty good there.
No, it does not.
What are you talking about? It looks great. Looks like Jennifer Aniston.
The movie doesn't possess breathtaking cinematography, but the scenes that stand out the most are probably the fight sequences and the scene in the tent. Not cinematography-wise, of course, but that shit was just hilarious. The soundtrack, though, still goes very strong, featuring songs from Florence and the Machine and Sia. Breaking Dawn movies are the worst in terms of everything. The first part focuses on Bella's getting married to Edward and finally getting that D. But it's so weird how much time is spent on that and also how characters just casually talk about the fact that Bella will be destroyed by Edward. It makes me uncomfortable. That's also why I like first two movies, because they aren't so hung up on the sexual part of the relationship. It's subtle. I know the rating for the movie is PG-13 and Jacob doesn't own a lot of shirts for the most part, but the whole thing with Edward will fuck you to death, Bella, it's a no from me.
Why do you care if these two kids have sex?
I know, it is weird. It's
So-
really weird.
So bizarre.
Then for the rest of the movie, it's just Bella being pregnant and stubborn. We've seen Bella being ready to sacrifice her life for the people she loves in previous movies. And here you kind of have the same thing with the vampire/human baby, but her reasoning is not explained very well. It's lacking in depth, and that's why she comes off as stubborn and stupid. Bella, you can die, that baby is eating you from the inside. Yeah, whatever. The movie is very empty in that sense. Breaking Dawn Part 2 is again bad. It's the last movie in the whole franchise, and for some reason, we have to become acquainted with the vampire relatives, so they all can fight in the final battle against the Volturi. It's not a good time to bring a bunch of new characters into the mix. And don't let me start on the whole imprinting thing with Jacob and Bella and Edward's daughter. Just know, the Breaking Dawn parts don't have a soul. Everything feels and looks flat and fake. Both parts were directed by Bill Condon, who directed Chicago. The editing is off big time, weird dynamic zooms like it's a YouTube video, blurry and fuzzy backgrounds so it looks like characters are in front of a green screen. Probably it's the truth, but in previous movies it wasn't that noticeable. We also have weird, almost like fan-made edits of Bella and Edward moments that are supposed to make you emotional, but they're too cheesy. And of course, Renesmee. Bella and Edward's daughter. I don't have words to describe how she just triggers me. You just want to ask, is this a joke? Is this what you were going for? This is the final look? I understand that sometimes it's probably hard to adapt certain things from books, but you have to make sacrifices for your audience psyche. Just use a normal baby. Because I really don't like the last movies, I haven't really listened to the soundtrack that much. I felt like there were more pop songs than indie songs. However, I like that they use that iconic song, Iron and Wine's Flightless Bird American Mouth, for Bella and Edward's wedding. That scene is very sweet, and the fact that at one point they just remove all the guests behind the bride and the groom and play tribute to the prom scene just makes it more special. It's fascinating how when you rewatch all the movies one after another and compare them, you can see that the more money they had, the worse the look of the movies got. It's also sad to see how people make money on teenage girls' fantasies but then bash them for liking the product. Twilight will always have a special place in my heart because it reminds me of good times I had during my teen years. How I watched these movies with my mom or how we listened to the soundtrack CDs in the car. Those were good times indeed.